Nguyen, Chief Executive Officer, Blockchain for All. And Jimmy is not a new name for us. He has been part of Leaders in Islamabad 2022, and then the Future Summit 2023, which is our other flagship summit held in Karachi every year. He's one of the world's top blockchain experts. His firm Blockchain for All provides advisory, education, and tech solutions to help enterprises and governments implement blockchain and related technology. Jimmy also led the formation of the Swiss-based BSV Blockchain Association and served as its founding president. We are looking forward for a very high-powered, energetic, and upbeat presentation, Jimmy.
Okay, all right, audible, thank you. As you heard, my name is Jimmy-Nguyen, but in Vietnamese it's actually pronounced Nguyen. Very difficult for people to say, especially in America. So growing up, people started calling me Jimmy-Nguyen or Nguyen, and it became kind of my calling card. So today, I work in emerging technologies. But I've learned over time that my mission in life is really to help empower people to win. It's why along my blockchain journeys over the past 7 years, I have been spending a lot of time in developing countries, including here in Pakistan, because I believe it's important to use the opportunities I have to empower everyone's potential to win. So today, as we are embarking on this second day of the big rethink here for Pakistan, I want to share some lessons I've learned with you along my journeys to developing countries, inspired by a framework from a book that I loved a number of years ago, which is Eat, Pray, Love. And I need some help with this as well, thank you. Eat, Pray, Love was a book by Elizabeth Gilbert that was published a couple of decades ago, and it told the story of an author, Elizabeth Gilbert, who decided one day, I woke up and I don't want to be married anymore. She got a divorce, and then she spent about a year of her life actually traveling the world to 3 different countries. First in Italy, where she did a lot of eating, and then to India, where she prayed a lot, and finally to Indonesia, where on the island of Bali, she found love again. And it turned into a major motion picture starring Julia Roberts, but it really tells the story of a woman who was really needing to rethink in life and try to find her new passions and purpose when she was facing a major life challenge. So it really is a book and a movie that I really was influenced by. And today I want to share with you my thoughts, not about eating like Julia Roberts, praying in India, or finding love in Bali, though I hope some of you do find love in Bali, but instead the lessons from my journey across these 3 developing countries. Vietnam, where I was born, Nigeria, where I contribute quite a bit of work, and finally, my journeys here in Pakistan over the past few years. But you're not going to learn to eat, pray, and love. I don't have as romantic of a story to tell you, but my lessons are about the power I've learned in these countries to learn, plan, and create. Learn, plan, and create. Let's begin with learn, which I learned about some new things in my native Vietnam. So I was actually born in Saigon in 1972 to my father and mother here. My father was a federal judge in South Vietnam, but we had to flee the country the night before Saigon fell in April 1975. And we were fortunate enough to be taken by the US government and resettled into the United States in Southern California, where I was given the opportunities with education, infrastructure, and career platforms to become a technology lawyer for 20 years, and then go on this global blockchain and emerging tech journey that I've done for the past 7 years. That journey came full circle last year when I was actually brought back by the current Vietnamese government to be a keynote speaker at their Future of Internet conference in Da Nang, Vietnam, trying to educate that current generation about how blockchain can help power a future internet. It's really interesting to have a career in which my expertise in another country was needed to help lead my native country in its current journey of digital transformation. And it allowed me to start spending more time in Vietnam and start understanding what's happening in the country. Here's what I've learned. Vietnam is booming. It's going to become the socio-economic capital of Southeast Asia. Its IT sector in particular is driving growth with over 70,000 digital tech businesses and annual revenue in that sector of over 152 billion US dollars. But more importantly, 10% year-on-year increase. That's amazing. But what has caused this? I started asking questions. Well, first, there's clearly education. It is rooted culturally in Vietnam. I can tell you my parents made sure that us kids went to school, studied hard, and were driven by education to succeed in America. And what was surprising to Western journalists and observers almost 10 years ago was the results of the 2015 Program for International Student Assessment, which found that Vietnam ranked very high 8th in science and about 22nd in math, above other leading countries such as the US and UK out of 72 surveyed, even though it has a much lower income level. And the observers were surprised by this, wondering how is Vietnam creating this Vietnam effect, as they called it, which is the new digital all-in-one finance app from JS Bank, is doing some interesting things. The idea of an all-in-one finance app is not new. I see them around the world. But what I discovered is that Zindigi is doing some new things, allowing users to customize the app with widgets. That's very new and creative. But also they partner with Dow PropTech, a property tech company here, to create new real estate investment products within this app. That's creating something new. And it's an example of this creativity that I see here in Pakistan. Finally, I've been spending quite a few meetings and conversations with our friend Amna Awan, who many of you will know from her many business holdings here in Pakistan across different sectors. She also has a think tank, the Center for Pakistani International Relations, and has been reaching out to me for help to partner on driving blockchain education and growth in this country. And I like that. She came to me and said, I want to work with you. We're not sure what. We're talking about it. We're signing a memorandum of understanding this weekend. But I'm taking my own advice by saying, let me work with someone and we will find a way to create something new. And it is a lesson that I've learned watching Muhammad Asfar Hassan, our host here, in creating environments where we can do all of this. Learn, plan, create. He asked me, yes, please give our host a wonderful round of applause. He asked me to talk about what's next. A lot's next. Here are things on the screen. You've heard about lots of it already. We don't have to talk about them all again, but no, there's so much more. Edge computing, robotics, brain-computer interface, BCI, the Neuralinks inventions of the world. And I'm seeing a big drive to even space tech. These are all fields with the right ideas for new ways to learn, plan, and create that the people of Pakistan should be thinking about how to drive new leadership in. So how am I implementing all of this in what I'm doing now? Since I've last been here, I've had some new announcements. I recently joined the executive board of 77 Ventures, an investment agency and platform out of the United Kingdom and London with 2 partners, where we are trying to use digital technologies to support creative industries and new companies there, entertainment, media, sports, arts. And what our work is trying to do is to encompass all of those things, to help educate startups, to help them plan to succeed, and to create new works in the digital world. One of our first big separate ventures is called the Meta Center, where we are actually building in 5 global cities across the world, starting in London, and secondly, we're hoping to get going soon in the UAE and Dubai, and then Singapore, Sydney, and Miami, a real estate complex, a physical complex to bring the metaverse to reality to you, anchored by a performance center or theater where technology is fitted to help combine the physical experience you might see with the virtual experience. But beyond that, we're going to have an academy to teach business executives and creative professionals new skills. We're also going to have a production studio and services to help companies and government entities create immersive experiences. We'll have a startup incubator hub and much more. So it's an entire ecosystem and platform to help a new generation learn, plan, and create new immersive experiences. So that is my lesson from my journeys across developing countries in rethinking what we can do to help Pakistan and other countries win. It's not as romantic as Julia Roberts, to eat, pray, and love, but it is to learn, plan, and create. The lessons I have learned across these journeys from Vietnam, Nigeria, and Pakistan. So about 20 years ago, I went back to Vietnam for the very first time since my family had left in April 1975. I toured Saigon, now known as Ho Chi Minh City, as a tourist, but I also took a moment to actually find my parents' house from years ago. I thought it was going to be this big home, and it was just down a gray, alley-like little street. I went with my tour guide in, found the door, stood in front of it in this little alley. Then this old man came out from right next door. He asked, "What are we doing here?" We said, "My family used to live here before the war ended." And then he took one look at me and he said, "You were the baby." And that moment I realized, yeah, I was that baby. But a baby who was fortunate enough to be taken to the United States, raised by a family who had a hard time as immigrant refugees. But I was fortunate enough to be given the education, the opportunities, and the career platform to fulfill my potential and to continue to fulfill my potential. And it is why I've decided to devote part of my life now to helping other people fulfill the potential to win.